Hey there, fellow humans. Ever wonder about those times when tiny organisms wreaked havoc on humanity? We're talking plagues, folks. Those microscopic troublemakers have shaped history more than you might think. From ancient empires to modern societies, plagues have left their mark. Why should we care? Well, studying plagues isn't about dwelling on the bad times. It's about understanding how humanity has coped, adapted, and emerged stronger. Plus, it's a chance to appreciate how far we've come in the world of science. Think of it like this: studying plagues is like watching a cosmic reality show. Except, instead of petty drama, we get epic battles between humans and microbes. And trust me, the science behind it is way cooler than any scripted storyline. So, buckle up as we take a hilarious and slightly terrifying trip through the history of plagues. Get ready to laugh, learn, and maybe squirm a little. Because, let's face it, plagues are no laughing matter. Or are they? Let's rewind to 430 BC, a time when the world was vastly different from what we know today. Ancient Greece, the land of philosophers, democracy, and, unfortunately, a nasty plague that would change the course of history. The Plague of Athens, as it's dramatically called, swept through the city-state like a bad toga party, leaving devastation in its wake. Imagine a society known for its intellectual prowess, its advancements in art, science, and philosophy, brought low by a mysterious illness that no one could understand or control. Talk about an epic plot twist. The very heart of Greek civilization was under siege, not by an enemy army, but by an invisible foe. The plague, likely typhoid fever, caused fever, rashes, and a whole lot of unpleasantness. It was a grim reminder of the fragility of human life. It's estimated to have killed a quarter of Athens' population, including their leader, Pericles. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. The loss of Pericles was a significant blow to the morale and leadership of Athens. This plague was a major downer for Athens, weakening them during the Peloponnesian War. The timing couldn't have been worse, as they were already embroiled in a fierce conflict with Sparta. It's a classic example of how disease can impact not just individuals, but entire civilizations. The Plague of Athens serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of even the most advanced societies. The Athenians didn't have much to fight the plague with back then, except maybe prayers and maybe a goat sacrifice or two. Their medical knowledge was limited, and their religious rituals were their only hope. Hey, you win some, you lose some, right? The Athenians gambled with their lives, hoping for divine intervention. Even the mighty Greeks had to learn that sometimes the smallest enemies can be the deadliest. The Plague of Athens is a testament to the enduring struggle between humanity and disease. Fast forward a few centuries, and we find ourselves in the Roman Empire, a civilization known for its might, its aqueducts, and, you guessed it, its plagues. The Antonine Plague, which hit in 165 AD, was no walk in the Colosseum. This time, it was probably smallpox or measles, and it spread like wildfire through the Roman legions and beyond. Imagine being a tough Roman soldier, conquering lands and building roads, only to be struck down by a fever. Talk about bad luck. The Antonine Plague caused widespread death, weakening the Roman military and economy. Some historians even believe it contributed to the eventual decline of the Roman Empire. Who knew something so tiny could topple such a mighty empire? Just goes to show, even emperors aren't immune to a good plague. It's enough to make you want to stock up on hand sanitizer and avoid large gatherings, toga parties included. Section 4. The Black Death. Not a fun time. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to enter the Dark Ages. And no, I'm not talking about a blackout in the library. This was a time when the world seemed to be falling apart, and the Black Death was at the center of it all. The 14th century brought us the mother of all plagues, the Black Death. It wasn't just a health crisis. It was a catastrophe that reshaped the course of history. This wasn't just a plague. It was a pandemic of epic, and by epic, I mean terrifying, proportions. Imagine a disease so deadly that it wiped out entire communities in a matter of weeks. Caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, the Black Death spread like wildfire through Europe and Asia, leaving a trail of, well, death in its wake. It traveled along trade routes, carried by fleas on rats, and no one was safe. It's estimated to have killed a third to a half of Europe's population. That's millions of people, gone in just a few years. Let that sink in for a moment. Entire villages were left deserted, and the social fabric of Europe was torn apart. That's a whole lot of people. The sheer scale of the devastation is hard to comprehend, even today. The Black Death was brutal. It didn't just kill, it caused immense suffering. We're talking painful swollen lymph nodes, fever, chills, and in many cases, a very unpleasant demise. The symptoms were horrifying, and there was no effective treatment. It's enough to make you want to stay in bed forever, or at least until the plague passes. But for many, there was no escape. The Black Death was a turning point in history. It led to social upheaval, economic decline, and a whole lot of fear and suspicion. People didn't know what was causing the disease, and they turned on each other in their desperation. It led to social upheaval, economic decline, and a whole lot of fear and suspicion. The plague didn't just kill people, it shattered communities and changed the way people lived and worked. But hey, at least it gave us those creepy plague doctor masks. These masks, with their long beak-like noses, were filled with aromatic items to protect the doctors from the bad air. You know, the ones that look like bird beaks. Fashionable. They might not have been effective, but they sure left a lasting impression on history. Section 5. The Spanish Flu. A global sneeze. Let's fast forward to the 20th century, shall we? The world was bustling with new technologies, rapid urbanization, and a sense of modernity. People were optimistic, believing that the worst was behind them. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the world, bam! Out of nowhere, a new menace emerged, catching everyone off guard. The Spanish flu of 1918 hit the scene like an unwanted encore. It was a devastating blow to a world already weary from the ravages of World War I. This pandemic was a global event, infecting an estimated 500 million people worldwide. That's nearly a third of the world's population at the time. That's right, 500 million. The sheer scale of the infection was unprecedented and left a lasting impact on global health. The Spanish flu was caused by a particularly nasty strain of influenza virus. Scientists at the time were baffled by its virulence and rapid spread. It spread like wildfire, thanks in part to World War I, where soldiers lived in close quarters, making it the perfect breeding ground for a virus. The movement of troops and the conditions of the trenches only exacerbated the situation. This flu wasn't your average case of the sniffles. It was a brutal illness that struck down even the healthiest individuals. It caused severe respiratory problems, and many people died within days of getting sick. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and medical staff were pushed to their limits. It was a stark reminder that even in the 20th century, infectious diseases were a force to be reckoned with. Cities that were once bustling with life became eerily quiet as people tried to avoid infection. The Spanish flu was a wake-up call for the world, highlighting the need for global cooperation in the face of pandemics. It underscored the importance of international communication and collaboration. It also led to advances in public health and spurred the development of new vaccines and treatments. The lessons learned from the Spanish flu have continued to inform public health strategies to this day.